Boom. And just like that, he was live, and we are live. And hopefully, so are you watching this, listening to this. If you're not live, it's going to be a bit of a disappointment to us all. So, hope this finds you well. Let me just bring up a few bits. Hi, Leslie Butler. Good to see you. You're always so welcome here. Thanks for joining the stream. We got a lot to get through in a slightly shorter time than normal. So I'm just gonna try and find out actually where we are on the Gettrs here. Let's see if we can find the live stream here on Gettr, because it is doesn't seem to have kicked in yet. Oh yes, it's there now. I see it there. I see it. I see yous on the Gettrs. I see you on the YouTubes. Gosh, I'll just wait for a minute or so for everyone to join in. Don't forget to say hello. We don't bite. Well, we don't always bite. Sometimes we might have to bite a little bit. Yeah. So as I said, we got a lot of stuff to chat about. Hello to Vicky over on the Gettrs. I see you people now. And Dreamer 1066 all the way, Lee from the New Forest. Yes, my friend Lee. Good to see you on the stream as well. So, as you can see, I've got all the requisites here. I've got the, Simon says, where would you like us to watch on? Whatever's easiest for you guys, because we are multi-streaming. We're on so many different platforms. Just to point out, I'm sure we should bring up all the platforms we're on. Hello, my friend Chris Davies. Good, Chris. Always good to see you. And John as well. Gregulate, also my friend from the States. All of you guys, good to see you folks. We're streaming across the universe as far as I understand. So we are on the we're on the Facebooks, we're on the YouTubes, we're on the BrandNewTubes, we're on the Odysseys, we're in the D-Lives, we're on the Rumbles, we're in the Gettrs. Now, so somebody should find very important. If you want to buy me a coffee, the link is below. And I hope you might take the opportunity to do that, because in the last couple of days, we've had to expend a lot of dosh to be able to have the software to do this. So any contribution you can make, no matter how small, is much appreciated. If you can do that down below. Obviously he was on, Shrek was on about earlier on a Gettr version. Oh yes, Gettr Vision. There's this guy that sounds like me, doesn't look like me, on the Gettr Vision. So you go and watch him. So it was the So we have whatever stream suits you got. Hello, Pauline Flynn. By the way, good to see you, Pauline. Old Baz, all the usual gang. Mr. Joe Cool, always a reliable supporter here on the platforms. So yeah, so we're streaming across all the streams. And I hope you'll find wherever you're watching this, I hope you'll find it enjoyable. And of course, I am joined this evening by my associate, my producer, the guy that keeps this thing kind of rocking and rolling, which is Jed. Jed's going to join me in a second or two. So, and we're going to go through, hi Albert, we're going to go through 3 big topics I wanted to tackle. And hello Claude, by the way, good to see you. Thanks for being here. I want to talk about this whole Ulvalde mass shooting. Now, I want to talk about that because, excuse me, I think, there's some things lead from that are very disturbing. I think we need to chat about. So we're going to start off with that. We've got a few other things to rattle through as well. I need to finish about 8:50. Reason for that is that I'm actually going on a different live stream. Anybody who knows Gemma O'Doherty, Irish patriot and all-round good egg, Gemma's doing a live stream at 9 o'clock tonight, and she's asked me to come on and discuss today's news and stuff. So I'll be on the Gemma O'Doherty. Hello, Melissa. Good to see you as well. Great to see you, in fact. And thanks all of you for coming along and supporting us. Hi, Kev. I just spotted you there as well. As you said, there's different streams come up. I only have a couple of them. I have the Gettr stream. I've got the YouTube stream. I can't watch the other streams because it does my head in. But you're welcome if you're watching in those anyway. Right. Okay. That's enough of the preamble. Let's cut to the first topic, which I want to chat about, and that is the Ulvalde mass shooting. Now, those of you who follow the Hard Truth podcast channel that we do, hi Spartans, hi Leslie Johnson, good to see you, my friend in the States. By the way, of course, it's 8 p.m. in the US, in the UK, but I know it's afternoon in the US. And indeed, if my friend Donny Girl happens to tune in from Hawaii, it's morning time. So, so I know you're watching all different time zones. I have to be aware of that. So, but regardless of what time it is, it's always time for this as we try to get some truth bombs out there. Now, it's tricky because we're on the YouTubes, we're on the Facebooks, so we have to be, do a bit. Yes, Stu Frost has rumbled me. He says, come on, David, we know you've got a date with Colonel Lieutenant Julia Hartley Brewer of the Talk Vaccine First Ukrainian Volunteers. Did you know she's been twice jabbed? Apparently so. And I could say more, but I won't say more. I'll only get myself into trouble. Anyway, hello, Billy Piper. Good to see you, my friend. Hello, Simon, as well. All of you guys. Great to see you here. Now, Ulvalde. We did, Ilana Mercer and myself did a stream, a recording rather, on the whole issue of these terrible school massacres. Here it is. You can see it here. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out. This is the pod. It's on podcast, on Rumble. This is a Rumble actually. So you can actually watch us on Rumble, and it's an interesting conversation that we had on it. And that was a week ago when the news had come in. Obviously, I'm sure you're well familiar with the details of this. With the hi Jeff Sperry, by the way, good to see you. So somebody says, Stu, that's after Gemma. He's finishing her show 20 minutes early. Yes, I'm off to see Julia, Lieutenant Colonel Julia Hartley Brewer of Vaccine Radio. What I was going to talk about. So Ulvalde, let's get to Ulvalde. So can we bring up, there's a couple of stories. This is the lead one I wanted to talk about. Did you see that a teacher who was wounded in the mass shooting has condemned the police as cowards? His words, cowards. And if we just scroll up here a little bit, this is the teacher concerned. You can see a picture of him at the Robb Elementary School. And let's just read this. He says, a teacher who was wounded criticized the police, calling them cowards for delaying action. In a harrowing interview with ABC News, he told his students to pretend to be asleep during the shooting. This is horrific stuff, folks. This is seriously bad stuff. 11 of the children died when the gunman stalked an adjacent classroom for over an hour as police, get this, stood in the hall. As he says, you had a bulletproof vest on, and they did. I had nothing, he said of the police. So let's just scroll down a little bit here in the story. Mr. Risa, fourth grade teacher. So these are like, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds he was teaching, who taught for 17 years, said he thought it was going to be a good day. When he went to school that day, students were watching a film when the shots broke out. He told them, this is again awful, he told them to hide under the tables and pretend to be asleep as they were taught. So this is quite an indictment. Kids are being taught what to do when there's a mass shooting. But the the shooter came in through an adjacent classroom and began firing. He was shot, but he took the advice they'd been given and he pretended to be asleep even though he'd been shot. But of course, it's awful. But the killing went on in his classroom, and the police were all outside. They didn't come in. After an hour of the slaughter, Leslie Johnson says, hello, Stan, my friend from Voice of Wales. Can I just say, by the way, Stan, all you guys on the Gettrs, make sure you follow Stan and Voice of Wales, because Stan, you are a prolific poster. Absolutely admirable, all the stuff you put out. Well done to you, Stan. Make sure all of you support Stan the man. So as he says here, I prayed and prayed that I wouldn't hear none of my students talk. adding that he believed he was going to die. So yeah, more of this stuff. One of the students from the other classroom was yelling, "Officer, we're in here, we're in here." But they'd already left. Then the killer got up from behind my desk and he went over there and began shooting again, again. So let's see. I don't want to even talk about Matthew McConaughey. Ignore him. Mr. Rees, this is the teacher. He felt that he'd been abandoned by the police, saying there's no excuse for their actions and I will never forgive them. And we know, we talked about this last week, during the attack, kids were on their mobile phones calling 911 to report multiple gunshot victims. Parents came to get it, actually tried to rush the school, but oh no, the police held them back. Pauline, you're right. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible thing. Leslie Johnson makes a very good point here. She thinks that the police down there need jailed. I agree, Leslie. And it is heartbreaking. Officials said the police were wrong to think the situation had changed from an active shooter to a barricaded subject, and they had more time to prepare the response. It's appalling. We've actually got another, just on this one, Jed, can you just bring up, and then I want your views on this, Jed, in a second. Yeah, I read this. I mean, look, I read this, it's sort of horror. So it's heartbreaking stuff. This is one of the little children who survived, a little girl called, I think, Mia Cirillo, pardon my mispronunciation, undoubtedly. She recounted to Congress how the massacre had happened. She was in the classroom. She says, oh yeah, this is awful. Oh God, I hate this. But even to read this out is upsetting for me. He, the shooter, told my teacher good night and shot her in the head. What an evil monster. What an evil monster. I thought he was going to come back to the room. So let's just scroll down a little bit if we can, Jed. So I grabbed the blood and put it all over mine. And yeah, that was what the little girl was saying. And I'm sure everyone watching this, you know, your heart goes out. And sometimes I don't even know what to say in these situations. All I would say is that, you know, there's two things here. There's the horror of what happened, the absolute horror. I think this is the little girl concerned. Yeah, here she is. And, you know, she watched the massacre of her teacher and other kids by this evil person who did the killing. And you know, imagine smearing yourself in blood to pretend you were dead to survive. How traumatized does that person have to be? Jed, let's come into the conversation. So like on this one, Jed, Jed has monkeypox tonight, by the way. I regret to tell you, from the looks of it. But anyway, Jed, welcome to the stream.
Good evening, David. Good evening, everybody. Nice to be here again. You bring me in on the most evil and horrible subjects, David, at times. I'm literally lost for words. I really am. You know, it would be bad enough if an adult was regaling the story. The fact there is a young child is just unbelievable. It is unbelievable, yet it is reality.
Well, it is, and the thing is, it happens. You know, I mean, this is not the first. It won't be the last. There's two levels of this, Jed. There's the actual, you know, there's the Leslie Butler says, "You're looking good, Jed. You're looking good."
I always do.
That monkeypox has really helped. It's done you the world.
It's the 34 jabs I've had so far, David.
Yeah, well, you can't, Jed, as we know, because we're on YouTube, you can't have enough jabs. It keeps you safe.
Well, that's it, yeah.
And as this new person on Gettr Visions keeps appearing and pointing out, he says, look how well it's done. That's the He thoroughly recommends the jabs, but as many as possible. Never stop. Keep taking them.
Yeah, 7 a day.
Yeah. But Jed, on the story, the two lines in it are the evil of massacring kids, just awful. So there's that. And then the second thing, Leslie Butler says, only 34 jabs. Catch up. Come on, Jed, you're stacking.
Yeah. My vaccine card's full. I need another one.
Stu says, don't the police take an oath to protect them? So, yeah, they do, but they didn't do it, did they?
I think people nowadays don't take those sort of oaths with meaning, unlike the oath I took, back in 1987. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think they do, David. And in some respects, I understand why. Because when you do a job like that and you're constantly denigrated by the Democrats and Congress and the media, I understand morale must be low. That does not excuse their incompetence and the evil that they allowed to continue in that school, though.
Yeah, well, it's the two things, isn't it? Because they did stand by where these kids were slaughtered. And we know that, and we know that they stopped parents from going in to rescue their or try to save their kids. So we know they did all of that there. But by the same token, the Democrats who are now using this, in my opinion, cynically, I'm thinking of Matthew McConaughey, the celeb actor who's driving this for political purposes, as I put out in social media.
David, why, as it was happening, the Democrats were lining up their talking points.
100%.
The bodies weren't cold when the Democrats had their talking points.
Yes, they were standing on the bodies of the kids to make political points. And in my view, so is Matthew McConaughey and others. They're exploiting this terrible tragedy. Leslie Johnson is right. They should have went in like stormtroopers. They should have done. They didn't. The final points in this I would make, Jed, is that I think they I've got questions about this. I have to say to people watching this, I've got issues about some of these events. I mean, this individual, we needed to know a lot more about this individual. He didn't grow up, I think, with his mom and dad. I think he was brought up by his grandmother for some reasons. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was. And where did he get $4,000 to buy the rifle?
Yeah, $4.5 grand. 18-year-old.
That's not pocket money. That's not loose change on the back of the sofa.
Where exactly, Jed? Where did he get the money to do it? Who sold him it? What are the details around that? I'd like to know some of these things, because I sometimes fear, folks, to be quite honest with you, there are dark forces operating in the background, and they manipulate some of these vulnerable individuals, as far as I can see, and then they go and do stuff. But I mean, I would say, to your point, and I agree with you. I mean, the Democrats have taken advantage of this instantly. And that's convenient, that, isn't it? Really convenient. Bit of luck. Tis but a scratch, says, to Leslie Johnson's point, they only go in like stormtroopers when they are targeting conservatives. Yeah, absolutely. January 6th, they went in like stormtroopers then. And by the way, Leslie Johnson, again, you're in top form, Leslie. Actors should shut up and not comment on matters politics, Jed, because it's just cringe embarrassing.
It is. It's that high irony again, isn't it, David? 99% of these film actors make their living doing action movies where they're shooting and killing people. And they're quite happy to do that and raking the millions of dollars.
Yes.
And then obviously drive their Prius, down into town and then to the airport and then get on their private jet. To save the planet. They only get on the private jet to save the planet, of course. But no, it's typical because they are Democratic supporters. They are left wing, so you would expect them to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, it's but again, there's another good question that Leslie raises. He had no driver's license, so I want to know how he got the guns. Yeah, there's so many.
No, absolutely, there is something fishy here. Because again, I even without, I appreciate you need to have ID to go and buy a gun, to fill out the background check forms that go away. Now, I don't know if it's 3 days or 3 weeks it takes for the background check to happen. I don't know, and I assume it's different in every state. But to have, I think the fundamental thing here is, where did the $4,500 come from to buy the rifle? And then the money to buy the ammunition. Where did that come from?
Exactly. There's something very fishy about this. I think a lot of people have figured it out. It's very peculiar. And I'm sure as time goes on, maybe more details will emerge. But anyway,
See,
we have
Billy Piper here, and I think he's right. Because what you've
yes,
got to remember about the law is designed for the law abiding. If you are
yeah,
a criminal, then you don't care about the law. So the law is only there for the law abiding people.
yep, yep. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Jed, can I just check with you? Is my signal holding up okay?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, no, it's great, David. It's great. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's okay.
you're looking beautiful, mate.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Nick did a good job.
if only I'd taken those 34 jabs which you've taken.
Well, yeah, there you go.
I'd be even more enhanced. Right, let's move on a little bit from the horrors of the Uvalde shooting, Jed, and let's bring up another topic which I think is pretty topical. Some of our American friends may not be up to date on it, but anyway, it concerns Our Lady of Heaven. Yeah. So let me just summarize this one, guys, for you so everyone understands it, what's been going on. So this is in the good old UK. And apparently, not everyone likes a movie. Therefore, that movie must not be shown. If we can just bring this one up. Yeah, Cineworld, which is a movie chain, cancels the Lady of Heaven film screenings after protests. Oh, right. So, wonder what that could be. Let's jump into the details here. And so here you have a group. Here's a typical, Chad, typical English scene.
A typical English town, this, David. I think that's, if you picked any town in the UK, it would look just like that one.
Yeah. The other thing is interesting. You notice the photo credit is to Abex Packard. See, it's interesting. Interesting choice of name from whoever took that. But where this was in Bolton, Jed, wasn't it? Yeah, Bolton, I think. Where essentially, guys, the story here is that there's been this movie called Our Lady of Heaven concerning the daughter of Muhammad. And Muslim people, or some Muslim people at any rate, are very unhappy about it. And therefore, essentially, the movie's been pulled. The cinema chain said it made the decision to ensure the safety, note the words, the safety of our staff and customers. Jed, what was the problem here? What so some people didn't like the movie.
I can't imagine what the problem would be with the film, David. Let me. Could I put my finger on Islamic extremists? No,
it couldn't be that. No.
Maybe did it have an image of the prophet?
Oh, it might. Would you see the thing is?
No, I can see why that's offensive. I really can, David.
Well, you see, the thing about it is that gets me is I understand that people and religious groups can be very upset against anything, and I don't wish to upset Muslim people no more than non-Muslim people. But I mean, I'm old enough to remember a long time ago there was a movie, Jed, you might remember it, called The Life of Brian, which Monty Python, the Monty Python team were behind, and that was poking satire at Christians. And I remember going to watch it, and there was people outside picketing it actually. But I've always taken the view: listen, you know something? If you believe in God, you've got to believe He's bigger than just a movie, Jed. I'm sure God is well capable of taking the joke, so to speak. So therefore, I believe in live and let live. So if people want to make movies having a go at Christianity, of Judaism, or of Islam, surely that should be fine. And we should all just be big enough and grown up enough to say, yeah, that's okay. But that's not the way it works anymore in the West at any rate, is it?
No, it's not. And I agree. I love The Life of Brian. Anybody in here called Brian? I'm Brian, and so is my wife. I love it, but yes, there was an outrage when it first came out, but it never got banned. You can still get it on Netflix or Amazon Prime. There weren't there might have been protests. I was just a tad too young in those days to perhaps even notice. But the point is, it wasn't it wasn't this sort of thing. We've got school teachers that is still in hiding after trying to explain to his students about understanding diversity and people's freedom of speech and freedom of expression, that teacher is still over a year later in hiding for this from the very same sort of mob. And then Savage Javid said earlier, we should not cower to the mob, and this film should not have been pulled.
Yeah, well, that's why. I mean, I agree with Claire Fox there in the Lords when she said that this is a disastrous decision and dangerous for free speech. She's dead right.
Yeah,
And
no, absolutely. This is blasphemy by the back door, because what we'll end up with is movies like that not even coming to the UK, not being released within the UK in the future. Because what's the point of going through all that release and that expense? To promote the movie, to generate ticket sales and box office sales, when you're going to have a mob outside and you're going to have to shut it down. The biggest mistake the cinema did was bow to the mob.
Yeah, I agree. But then, but you can understand it from the cinema's point of view as well. What if something happened, and what if their staff were endangered, Jet? What,
But the thing is, are the police not there to uphold the law and safeguard the public? Yes, they are. But you see, the police are politically motivated now, and they will not go in it. If that film had been about anything else, and a group of English white people had protested, then the police would have been there. They would have pushed them back. There would have been barricades, all sorts of stuff. But because it's this particular group, then the police will not go in and do anything.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, Pauline Flynn makes a very astute observation. Harsh reality. If Muslim people don't like the film, don't go to see it. I'll not read out the second part of that, Pauline, because we're on the YouTubes and Facebooks. But but she's got a really fair point. If you don't like a culture that you come into, then why are you in it? It's a reasonable question, Jed, because
it is. It's a fair question. Don't move. And you could say, well, some of them, were probably born here. Absolutely fine by that.
Yeah.
But the point is, we don't have blasphemy laws. So, like you said, if you want to take the Michael out of Islam, Christianity, Judaism, whatever it is, you're entitled to do so, because freedom of speech and freedom of expression allows you to, by law.
I think it's healthy. I think, Jed, it's healthy to mock and to ridicule, because if the subject of the ridicule isn't capable of taking it, then that's highlighting there's a real problem here. The other thing is, going back to Life of Brian for a second, I mean, the UK is, at least theoretically, a Christian country. The head of state is the head of the Church of England, Her Majesty the Queen. So Life of Brian, if you like, was much more kind of risky, because it was attacking the majority culture, if you know what I mean. Whereas, so if people had all got out of their trees on it, you could have understood it. Although, oh, by the way, sorry to use the expression "gotten out of their trees," given your current state, Chad. But I'm
just hanging around.
I'm just hanging around. But the thing is that, at the end of the day, as we saw I put in a podcast yesterday, I think, like, in the UK, was it 4 or 5% of the British public or less is Muslim. So you don't get to determine the majority culture when you've got such a tiny percentage of the population. I understand people get upset. I understand that other religious groups can get upset. I mean, it's absolutely fine to be upset, Jed. Fine to be upset, but really take your upset, put it in a box, and bring it home with you. Stop trying to dictate culture, I think. And therefore, I do agree, Jed. Ultimately, these corporations and organizations who bow down to bullies of whatever sort.
I agree. And the problem is bowing down. The school bowed down with the teacher. They're now bowing down to this movie. And the other problem is, not only are the police politically motivated, and obviously conscious of not being called racist. But like I said, if it was a group of white English people doing it for a movie, I'm sure they would move in and break it up. But the government and the institutions are all on the same side of the pitch. You know, they're all in agreement with we cannot offend them. And
well, of
that
course,
is the problem.
you can't reasonably expect the police to do anything in the month of June, Jed, because June is Pride Month, and they're far too busy checking on social media to make sure everyone's showing the right respect to the LGBTQ plus community, and rightly so.
Well, absolutely. But do you notice on the 1st of June how they threw BLM out and moved on to, you know, the current thing, which is obviously Pride Month. What comes next month? It's okay because we'll see, because we can look at the corporate logos on Twitter and what have you, and we'll see whatever the current thing is then, because they'll all be behind it as well. That's unless right. You live in the Middle East, of course, then we won't be behind it.
Well, did you see? I put out a little montage yesterday, Jed, of Marks and Spencer's, and Marks and Spencer's in the UK have got the rainbow icon thing in their graphic. But if you go to Marks and Spencer's in, I think it's India and the United Arab Emirates and even Ireland, they don't have it. And I'm thinking to myself, hang on a second, what's going on here? You know, what is going on here? Here we go. Thanks, Jed. Yeah,
it's okay.
There it is. I mean, I don't understand. Well, I do understand. I understand exactly, actually. M&S feel that in the UK, they can virtue signal for all they're worth, as you can see. And by the way, it's not just the LGBTQ plus flag, but of course, that's the trans people have got their own flag as well.
Well, yes, that's the transracial flag, isn't it?
Yeah. So they've got that. But look at Marks and Spencer's India, and then look at Turkey. I wonder,
something missing, David.
Something.
I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if it's a spelling mistake or that's it. That's it. I've got it. In those other countries, they're not woke.
No, and that's the problem. And actually, Jay, we can talk about this all night, because I feel, and I wonder do people on the streams feel the same as me. Andy Bell. Let me come back to that in a second. By the way, that's a really good point you make. We should mention it. But we've become. I believe we live in the final days of empire. I believe our culture in the West is fallen. I believe we embrace things that are toxic, and the establishment and the corporations and everyone else, they all follow it. And those of us who object to it are, hi, Kay Winsock. I am doing very well, thank you. Just to bring, they all embrace it, and therefore they're embracing the means to our destruction. Andy Bell makes a point. Andy, just if we can bring that one up, Jed, on the YouTube. Yeah, a massacre of 50 Christians in a church. I did a podcast on it, Andy. 50 Christians were murdered, slaughtered in a church in Nigeria by, I think it's the Fulani is the name of the group. That I think are responsible, but we need confirmation, but I believe so. And they've been behind further massacres of Christians. The Fulani are mostly Muslim. So there we go. 50 Christians murdered. No outrage, Jed. Nobody cares.
No, it was hardly reported, was it? I mean, here's your podcast from yesterday, guys. So if you want to go and have a listen, it's up on David's podcast channel. But yeah, I agree, David. That is the problem, you see, because it's only one set of the community that we can have outrage for, or one religion we can have outrage for, you know, and that is the overall problem with it all.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks on the stream do agree with my line that we are living in it's the fall of Rome. I mean, you know, Rome, Jed, didn't fall overnight. It took 300 or 400 years for Rome to fall. And I think we live at a time, because of a lack of moral and ethical and even religious principle, you know, we just embrace the means of our own destruction.
But that's it. But that's what communism wants, does it? You know, it's all this build back better. To build back better, you have to destroy what was there before. This is what left wokeism does. It destroys and demoralizes what came before,
Yeah.
but they don't have an answer to what comes next. So they're quite happy to go around and destroy everything, destroy what a woman is. You know, you can have 100 genders now if you work in the civil service, so on and so forth. We know what the issues are. But the problem is, you ask what any of them, well, what do you want once all this is gone? And they do not have an answer.
I mean, Northern Monkey makes a really interesting observation. I see over on Gettr. He says people have pointed out that TikTok bans woke in China, but bumps it up in the West. Yeah, you're right, because essentially that's about accelerating the decline of the West. Andy Bell says divide and conquer, the basis of everything. Mind you, Claude comes in with the comment, but will the climate destroy us first? Well, again, Claude, you see, the people in the East, like, does China give a toss about climate change? But no, it does not.
No, it doesn't, David. And actually, if those people who would like to know a little bit more about climate change, I've been putting out quite a lot of content over on Gettr about climate change, the hoax of climate change. So if you follow me at Gettr on Gettr, you'll see a lot of real science, real climate change science, debunking absolutely every bit of garbage that you're hearing from the mainstream media.
Yeah. You know, you're right. So, look, Jed, I think we need to move on to the final topic. Here we go. So, as you know, guys, when we spoke last on Monday night at 8 o'clock, the vote, the big vote of confidence in Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, was happening, and we did cover it live. Jed brought it to you live on screen, and he narrowly squeaked in at whatever it was, 211 votes in favor of him, 148 against him. So that's over 40% of his party one shot of him. And he then came out and he said, "It's a terrific victory, terrific victory. Only 40% of my own MPs hate me. Only 40%, and now we need to draw a line under it and move on." So that brings me to this. So if we can bring up, Jed, if we can just bring on the screen. So this actually came today. I started to pick up on this one. So Boris Johnson, he's under pressure to cut taxes after confidence vote. And Jed, and you hear it. Here he is. Doesn't he look a bit? Does he look like himself? I'm not sure.
I don't think he does. I think he looks like...
Which Boris is that? Is that the one that went into the hospital in 2020, or is that the one that came out? I never can be sure.
Or is that the one that came out to the party? Because it does look like the morning after the night before.
Okay, yeah, maybe he'd been on the falling down water, but the strange picture of him. Anyway, Billy Piper says, "Congrats to Boris on his victory. Heads up, Billy Piper. It was a defeat. Oh yeah, and you owe me £10, by the way, because I told you he was going to have a big defeat, and you said he wasn't." Now back to anyway. We'll never worry about which version of Boris that was. Here's the bit, and I happened to tune in, Jed, this morning to Talk Vaccine Radio. I decided to, because I miss the dulcet tones of my bestie Julia.
Sorry, Field Marshal.
Field Marshal. I was going to say flight lieutenant, but Field Marshal.
You can call her Mom.
Yeah, and you know, she had a Conservative MP on, and she who was obviously one of the Boris supporters, right? And she was saying, this Conservative MP was saying, "Well, look, we just need to move on now. We just need to govern. You know, their arrogance. We need to govern, right? And what we need to do is we need to probably cut taxes, because that would be a good idea." And I thought to myself, and also we maybe need to do something about the fuel crisis, right? And here's the bit. Here is the bit that got me. Old Baz, I see your comment. I'll get to you in a second. Like, what they're saying is what Boris has to do to survive is undo, Jed, the policies and the taxes that Boris has put in place. Well, yeah. Hello.
The thing is, see, I think I watch quite a lot of vaccine radio, so you don't have to.
Yes, you do.
See what I mean? And the point is what she was saying, and she was speaking to various ministers over the week, and every person that tweeted in, messaged in, texted in, whatever it was saying, for how Boris can get back on the front foot is cut green taxes, cut VAT, cut corporation tax, protect the borders. Those 4 things, 3 of them are taxation, but those 4 things are what every single person was saying to talk radio. And when she spoke to the minister and said, these are the 4 things, and in fact, it was the Deputy Prime Minister, Rab, and she said, what are you going to do? These are the 4 key things that people are saying. Do this, and you'll have our support. And he just completely and utterly ignored it.
Yeah, because they're not interested.
No.
I mean, by the way, I agree with El Rizzle, who says taxation is theft. Yeah, we should remove taxation.
No, David, I've always said taxation is theft. Taking money by force that you have not earned is theft. Yeah, HMRC get away with it every single day of the week.
Completely agree. And I also agree with old Baz talking about the price of fuel. I think I just read, Jed, before we came on air, I was reading a headline saying that the price of petrol at the pumps is I think it's at an all-time high.
Well, see, Buzz says it's $8 £8 a gallon.
£8 a gallon.
It's now 8. Where is it? I think it's just gone over £2 per litre for fuel.
Yeah, no, yeah. By the way, Kev Keane, he says, look at the date of the vote. Some people have pointed this out to me, Jed. The timing of the confidence vote, it took place on the 6 o'clock, on the 6th of June, on the 6th. Sorry, let me get this right. It came at 6 o'clock, and it was on the 6th day in the 6th month.
6 month. 666.
I don't. I mean, sometimes I don't know what to make of these things. I did notice that as well, Kev. Thanks for pointing that out. Yes, Kev, VAT is theft, tax is theft. For a long time, I think, Jed, we're both the same. Government should leave us with our money. Get the hell out of our lives. Leave us with it. We'll decide, how we want to spend it.
The best person to know how to spend my money that I worked hard for is me.
Yeah,
not the government. I don't want to give the government my money and then them go, oh, well, because we've taxed you so much and you now cannot afford your electricity bill and gas bill, we'll give you £400 back. No, don't take the £400 in the first place.
Yeah, but on this one here, Leslie Johnson saying it's $4.60 in East Tennessee. Leslie Johnson, I remember being in somewhere like Malibu or whatever a few years back, and I remember filling the car up with it is in California, filling the car up, and I'm sure that it was round about a dollar. It was so cheap. I couldn't believe how cheap. I'll tell you when it was. It was whenever the UK voted to Brexit. I had the misfortune to go to the States the day after we voted to leave the European Union, at which point the pound, Jed, absolutely plummeted. Cost me an absolute fortune. All you Brexiteers, you cost me money. But yeah, so 460. I reckon, Jed, we're going to be getting by Christmas. It's going to be maybe £2.50 or £3. But here's the point. So they're talking about, look, Boris. All Boris has to do is undo the NIC hike that's coming next month. But he won't do it.
It's not just that he needs to do, though, David. He needs to get rid of the 25% green levy on fuel costs as well. He needs to take down the tax on petrol and diesel. The government are raking in billions extra now because fuel has simply gone up, and they take a percentage. They're taking 86 pence in the pound for fuel. And that doesn't include VAT on top that they take as well.
Yeah, but I agree. But they do need to do that completely, Jed. But the other thing that needs to happen as well, by the way, is they all were bitching this morning about, the whole energy crisis and the awful war in Ukraine. Listen, it's Boris Johnson along with Joe Biden who have been the biggest drivers of sanctions against Russia. The sanctions against Russia have been the primary driver of the increase in oil and gas. So the people responsible, Jed, for the cost of living crisis, as far as I'm concerned, or in the UK, Boris Johnson, and in the US, Joe Biden. They're responsible. I know in the States, Biden tries to talk about, oh, it's the Putin fuel price
No, of
increase.
course he does, because he tries to deflect. I'll tell you what's caused this, David. I'll tell you what's caused it. Lockdown, printing of money that you do not have. Yeah, absolutely. And the net zero policies, which are global now. Them are the three factors that have caused this problem. And the fact that the government and treasury of this country and in the US cannot see that, it drives. I should start doing a podcast of my own, or something on YouTube saying, what grinds Jed's gears, because there's a bloody lot that grinds my gears nowadays.
Just wait till you get to my age, Jed, and then everything grinds your gears. By the way, Leslie Johnson, you're talking about it's just trying to get the price you quoted here, because I got good news for you. It's $4.60 apparently in East Tennessee to get your fuel. But I can tell you, Leslie, Republican Rocker tells me in Philadelphia it's $5.25, and Gregulate tells me over on the Gettrs it's $6.09. That's in I think you're in California, Gregulate, aren't you, somewhere? So yeah, my God, I mean, these are incredible increases we are seeing in
but it's been generated by the people who generate the policies. The lockdown policy, we didn't have to lock down. And shutting down an economy is going to, and then paying people to be at home, which is what Biden did, which is what Boris did. They just printed money until it was coming out their ears. 37 billion on track and trace that never worked. They could have paid me 1 billion, and I would have made it work.
Yeah. Well, I'd have split that billion with you, Jed. We definitely would have made it work. But the thing is that, as El Rizal points out, higher taxes, more mass immigration, more authoritarianism, less liberty. These are the policies popular against the so-called, and you're right to put it in parentheses, democratic Western governments. I put out a tweet today, or post today, somewhere saying that, I don't have any confidence in democracy anymore. I don't know.
I don't think it's for a long time, David. But I am watching the clock, David. I don't want to, spoil everything.
We are indeed. Unfortunately, friends, we are. And I wonder, Jed, do we have time to play out on the video? Or
yeah, we have time, mate. Yeah.
Well, okay. So listen, we've talked about serious stuff. We've talked about the Ulvalde, the massacre. We've talked about the intolerance of certain groups in this country. We've talked about that. We have talked about the ludicrous character that is Boris Johnson. We've talked about that. And Kim, I agree. And finally, as a means of levity, Jed, I put this video out today. I saw it and it amused me. And so we like to leave our audience with a bit of a smile on their face. And I saw this, Jed, this video, and it's stupidity on such a scale that is almost inconceivable, folks. So
but I think it also touches on some of what we've just been talking about in some sense, David.
Well, I see my friend Gemma O'Doherty is on watching us on the Gettr stream. I want to make sure I'm with you, Gemma, on time, and I want to get a fresh coffee. So so I'm going to be with Gemma on her stream, and make sure everyone follows Gemma O'Doherty, by the way, on
Gettr. Go get and find her on Gettr.
Make sure you follow Gemma. She's one of the people on the side of the angels. We want to give you a bit of a laugh to finish things, don't we, Jed? So I'm going to say my farewells to you now and thank everybody wherever you're watching this. I hope you've enjoyed this slightly shorter than normal live stream, but it's been a blast. And see you all tomorrow. See you all as soon as possible. There won't be podcast tomorrow night, just because I'm simply out at an occasion, so I can't be there. So saws about that. But look, there'll be plenty of content coming out on the Gettrs and the Gabs from me. So you get
and on the podcast channel during the day, David.
One on wherever you are. Thanks for your support. Remember, if you do want to support us, and put something in the buy me a coffee, or put $1, $1 or more in the donor box to help defray our costs, that'd be terrific. Meanwhile, Jed, thank you very much as well. And
Always welcome.
I just hope the monkeypox continues to improve.
I'm sure it will. I'm going for 62 jabs extra tomorrow. Boosters, they're called.
Well, hopefully that will continue to improve you. So now, folks, let's finish with one of the most stupid things I've ever seen. Jed, cue the video and bye, everybody.
Problem. Tesla's an electric car, right?
Yeah.
Fully electric.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what the gas is for then.
Well, because if you're fully out,
you gotta charge it. Okay,
juice it up.
Show me what you mean. Let's pop.
Yeah. So
Where's the gas going to go? Show me.
So basically, it goes in here. This is the then that plugs into here, and that plugs into there, and then you're good to go. It's a weird system.
Oh my gosh, is that a gasoline generator?
It is. Yeah. That's how you get the electricity to drop. You got a Honda-powered Tesla.
Bro, you could have gotten a Honda, and you could have just saved all of this, and you'd be done. You're going to.
You needed gas. I tried to tell you.
No. This is not it. This is the weirdest. Nobody has ever run a Tesla off of gasoline like this before. All right, well, get this thing out and let's charge it up.
No,
You're going.
fill it up. You fill it up with gas.
Babe, he's going to charge his electric car with gasoline from a Honda.
Right. So this. I thought his battery was dead.
I still don't get it. I just know that sometimes you break down and cars just run out of gas and it's a long road with.
Yeah? I can't believe I actually helped a Tesla charge itself with gasoline. This is the. So how long you need to charge it up? You good? Like we'll leave you here with the gas. And feel free, have it.
Yeah, I think maybe like 5 minutes, and then I can make it to a gas station.
Make it to. Stop! Go to a charger! What are you